creative hub and has shown work in the Toronto Outdoor Art Fair, the Artist Project, and galleries in Fenelon Falls, Picton, Kitchener, and Vancouver. She's also a member of the Federation of Canadian Artists and the Artist Network. Beyond art, Cherie is involved with nature stewardship group at Glen Stewart Ravine and enjoys yoga and pickleball. As sport, she picks up at Milford Bay Community Center, pickleball beat out curling, in case you're wondering.
I'm sure it's fun.
Next, we're going to welcome Lynda Lynn. She brings a wealth of knowledge and talent experience to the community. Based in the heart of Muskoka, the land of blue skies and laughing water, she creates in a style that blends abstract realism and non-representational painting, offering a wide range of expressive subject matter. Her art education spans several universities and intensive studies, and established artists. She has made a lasting impact not only through her work, but also through teaching. As a former owner, director, and instructor at the Muskoka School of Arts, she has led classes on color theory and creative technique across Canada. Lynda is a jury member of both Ontario Society of Artists and the Society of Canadian Artists, and she has been sponsored to the prestigious Arts and Letters Club of Toronto. Her work has found homes in collections across Canada and internationally, including the USA, Norway, England, and New Zealand. She is currently represented by the Britton Gallery in Bracebridge, Ontario. Please give these two a round of applause. I'm just going to pass the mic over to Cherie.
Thank you, Nicole, and Bryn the other day, and Shelley for helping us. And we thought we would do a little talk. If it's too long, just give me a signal. Artists don't usually like to talk. We like to just show what we feel and think about. So it's a little awkward to begin with, but we're going to give it a shot. Anyway, and we thought we would do a little, try and interview each other and bounce back and forth. So we'll see how it goes. So, Lynda. I know that Lynda's done so many different types of art, and she's been making art for a long time. And we would like to know, Lynda, what made you decide to do some abstract art?
Okay, thanks, Cherie. And again, thank you to Mac and Monica. She's here somewhere. There she is. For all the help getting ready. And Cherie and Wendy's right here. What was it you wanted to know?
Why did you go to abstract art?
Because I find it, I personally don't love really realistic art. I can appreciate it, but it's not something that I like to look at for a long period of time. I find I look at it and okay, it's interesting, but then I move on, and I want something that leaves a little bit more to the imagination. So I think just gradually you tend to do that if you've painted for a long time. I mean, not everyone, because a lot of people just will stick with one thing, but anyway, I just found it more of a challenge. And now I have a question for Cherie. How do you start painting, Cherie?
Oh, wow. Sorry. She kind of changed that one up on me. How do I start a painting? Well, I really have trouble starting paintings, so sometimes it's just color. So one of the things, when I would remember COVID, we spent a lot more time out in nature and hanging out by ourselves because we couldn't be with other people. So I spent a lot of time walking my dogs, and I also happened to be involved with this nature group. I took a lot of photos, and I used the iSeek app, the Seek app, to tell me what all these native plants were up here. I spent more time up here. And then I would scroll through my photos, and I was just like, I just loved the color combinations that come in nature. So that's one way where I might just get an idea, oh, I like those colors together, and I'll start that way. A lot of the other things I do is just look around at other artists. So, one of my favorite books is called Steal Like an Artist. It says sometimes, it says, how to look at the world like an artist. Every artist gets asked the question, where do you get your ideas? The honest artist answers, I steal them. So how does an artist look at the world? First you figure out what's worth stealing, then you move on to the next thing. So a lot of times I look at other artists, I see people I like, and I say, well, maybe I'll try and do something like that. But whatever you end up doing, it ends up being yourself, because you can't help but put yourself into it. The other thing I do is, I don't really like bare canvases, which is what you start off with. So I just, usually I go in my studio and I clean up the studio, or I paint the edges, or I do something else. I actually can't get down to work very quickly. I turn on a podcast, I talk to someone else, and then I just put, I put marks on the canvas or the panel. So I take a pencil and I just start scribbling. And then maybe I've picked 3 or 4 kinds of paint that, okay, those look good today, I think I'll try them. Maybe I'll pick one tool that's, I used to use a variety of tools, but I've kind of gone back to brushes. But the brushes I use are very crappy brushes, anyway. Or maybe I'll use a big brush. And you just kind of say, okay, I'll pick this. You just start. So you just decide to start somewhere. Anyway, and then once, I don't know if we're talking about inspiration, but once you get going, the inspiration seems to come. But sitting there waiting for it, it never comes. Do you want to answer that?
I'm gonna answer.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
Lynda
I
wants
won't
to
say
answer
nearly
the
as
same
much.
question.
And yeah, I mean, everybody starts things differently, but I usually have something that either I've seen or experienced or mostly visual, and I'm abstracting what that thing was. So it wasn't necessarily what it looked like, it's more about how it felt. And I would choose a very limited color palette. Most of my paintings don't have more than about 4 colors plus black and white in them. Even though they look very colorful, they're not a whole lot of colors. And then you can decide whether you want it small or you want it big, and muck about with the colors and see how they look together, and then start. Now you want me to ask you a question?
No, I'm going to let you keep going. No, I'm going to ask you another one.
Oh, okay, all right.
So one of our next question was just to talk about a painter or 2 that inspires you, or that you like, or that you've looked at when you're working on your art.
Well, I guess my first inspiration was Bob Everett, and most people who've been around town for a long time would know who he was. It's Robert Emerson Everett. He was a pharmacist here in town and had a store across the street from my mom and dad's. And I was friends with her daughter in high school. They had no art. I took Latin, which is, I guess I've used it a little bit, maybe. Hated it. Anyway,
It's good for
I
trivia.
yeah, I moved to Toronto, and then I went to the College of Art at night when I was working quite close to there. So he was probably my first influencer, because he lent me art books, because again, there weren't even any in the library then, and I could see his paintings and so on, and he painted with some of the Group of 7. So I do like the Group of 7 work, and it is quite abstracted, even though it's landscape. I like Wolf Kahn's work, and he's a colorist, because I spent a lot of time studying color. And I like several of the UK artists. One in particular right now is David Mankin. His work's pretty incredible, and he is an abstract artist. Now it's my turn to ask you. Would you like to tell me what painters you admire?
Yes,
Short-
I would.
Shortly.
She's turning it up.
She told
I
me-
actually had 2.
She told me to do that.
So I wanted to talk about at least one, if Lynda gives me the hook. So recently I did a course on Painters 11, and I have a book here on the coffee table. Painters 11 is Canada's abstract expressionists. So a lot of, I don't know if any of you have heard of them. It's not the group of 7, it's Painters 11, and they were more located in Toronto. Around the same time as in New York, there was something called the abstract expressionists, or the New York School. Anyway, I was looking at them lately in a course, and one of them, her name was Alexandra Luke. And I do admire all of their work because it was just very fresh and sort of like what Lynda and I do. But it was back in the 1950s, so that's so amazing to me. Anyway, Alexandra Luke and I have a couple of things in common. And I did try and paint like her recently, so I sort of absorbed her. But she was one of the McLaughlin family, or she married into it in Oshawa. I grew up in Oshawa. So that's Carmen country there. And a lot of her paintings got left to the Robert McLaughlin Gallery in Oshawa. They have a special gallery just for Painters 11. These are many of them are quite famous. Tom Bush, I always forget their name. Jack Bush, Carl Town, you might have heard of them. Also, you might remember a number of years ago, there was the Alexandra Luke Gallery out on Partridge Lane. And her granddaughter, I believe, Wendy Moses, had that gallery. And I went there just because of that. Wendy was away then, but I did see it. And Wendy still has paintings at the Mexican restaurant up the street. So, and again, Alexandra Luke was very free and fresh and used some colors that, anyway, she was just very progressive for those times. I'll just stop it. Oh, sorry. You want to add or, okay, so. It's not flowing quite as perfectly, but we'll try.
We didn't practice.
We ran out of time. So, do you want, Lynda's got quite an extensive background in art. Would you maybe tell us a bit about your art training or your background? Okay.
All right. Well, I think I covered a little bit of it because I went to College of Art when I was in Toronto, but didn't graduate because then my future husband was moved back to here to Gravenhurst. So back I came, and then I attended Nipissing University for their fine arts program, a lot of it. I've got courses, enough university courses for 4 degrees, but not any degree. I did state advanced studies with Fleming College, which is Oliver area. And every year I do a workshop of some kind with some artist, because I just like to keep exploring. So, that's it.
Yeah, mine, I've always done a bit of art, but in high school I didn't take any art because I didn't think it was going to be useful in the future. Anyway, when I turned 60, I went back to school for a year. It was only half a day, but it felt like a full day to me at the Central Technical High School in Toronto, where they had an adult art program. And so I did creative things every day of the week, and that was like a lot. I did some pottery and printmaking and some drawing, life drawing and mixed media. But I really wanted to do abstract painting, so after that year I sought out teachers who just taught you more about how to be creative, how to get started, how to have creative thinking. They didn't talk so much about value and composition and the technical aspects. So, and like Lynda, I've continued just taking classes, hanging out with other artists when I can, and I do a lot of online courses now since everybody's gone that way since COVID, but it's helpful, right? So we thought we might, although our introduction might have already told you, we thought we might reveal one thing about us that you may not know that's unrelated to art.
Good grief.
What is yours?
I don't know. What about the synchro skating team?
Yes.
Wendy is a member. Wherever Ginty. See, look around the room, see if anybody else here. No, not necessarily. But anyway, yeah, I said Wendy. No. The other Wendy. She
Who
here?
was also part of the skating team, Cherie.
She here?
No, she's not.
Oh,
Wendy
she's-
Moses.
Yeah, no, Wendy Moses skated with us, yeah. Anyway, we skated on an adult precision skating team, which is now called synchro skating, when it was sort of not really getting started, but kind of. It was the beginnings of a lot of the synchro skating. And we competed at Canadians a number of times. So, I'm gonna wind this up.
Yep.
The message in having this show, the message that we were really wanting was to expose, to expose people to different types of abstract art. Because a lot of people just, they don't like it, don't understand it, don't want to ask the questions, don't know what to ask about it. So that was the whole point of the show. So enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.